Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Bartolotta.
And I'm Sharice Gibson. Today, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff announced an arrest in the murder of an employee of the New Orleans Police Department.
She was also an Uber driver who had no idea she was being targeted by a man who intended to kill someone, anyone who responded to his request for a ride. Meg Ferris has been following all of today's new developments and joins us live now. Meg, this is such a tragic story.
Today, we're delving into the chilling case of Yolanda Dillon, a 54-year-old woman who met a horrifying end at the hands of her taxi passenger. This story is seriously disturbing. Not only was Yolanda mercilessly murdered, but the killer also recorded the gruesome aftermath of the attack. The footage, now removed by the police, showed Yolanda slowly bleeding out as her killer callously filmed her demise. What makes this case even more unsettling is that, after the fact, the killer claimed to have just woken up one day and decided to kill someone. There was no connection, no history, no motive to murder Yolanda. It was a cruel twist of fate that Yolanda just happened to be the one who picked up her killer for a ride that fateful day. With no premeditation beyond the chilling decision that an Uber driver would be the victim, the killer was driven to murder seemingly without reason. As the investigation unfolded, police revealed that they believed the killer was plagued by severe mental health issues. However, it begs the question, was this truly a case of mental illness, or was there something far more sinister at play? Was this a manifestation of an evil beyond our understanding, or just a tragic consequence of untreated mental health problems? I'll leave it to you to decide. Y'all, this case might make you think twice before hopping into an Uber again. This story is not for the faint-hearted. Buckle up, y'all, and get ready to delve into the details of a crime that defies explanation. This one is truly bone-chilling. Let's dive in.
In New Orleans, Louisiana, 29-year-old Brandon Jacobs woke up and decided he was going to kill someone, and that was going to be his day.
Yolanda Dillon had just turned 54. She was a beloved member of her community and a dedicated professional. Born and raised in New Orleans, Yolanda was known for her kind heart and unwavering faith. She spent a decade working as a fiscal budget analyst for the New Orleans Police Department, where she was respected for her quiet dedication and humble nature. But her commitment didn't stop there. Yolanda drove for Uber to earn extra money, using it to support her elderly mother, Edna. Yolanda even lived with her mother, ensuring she was well cared for, handling groceries, bills, cooking, and anything else Edna needed.
Yolanda was 54, a breast cancer survivor. She lived with her mom and was one step away from getting her PhD in sociology. She was driving Uber to make extra money for tuition costs and all the Christmas gifts for family and church children.
Religion was also a cornerstone of Yolanda's life. As a devout member of St. Paul the Apostle Church, she was deeply involved in her church community, always ready to lend a helping hand. Every Christmas, she spent her own money on gifts for the children in the church, as well as her many friends and family. Her life was a testament to resilience and service, balancing her career, education, working towards a PhD in sociology, and her responsibilities at home. Colleagues and friends remembered her as a quiet giant and a force for good, whose presence and contributions left a lasting impact on everyone around her. Tragically, in December 2022, everything went wrong.
For 10 years, Yolanda worked as a fiscal budget analyst at NOPD. Chief Ferguson describes her as quiet, humble, and always positive.
Truly an extremely lovely person. The team loved her. As I said, we really had to deal with some emotions this morning with our staff.
Now a mother wonders how she's going to go on.
He took my only child.
And that was Edna, the mom, and she says that Yolanda, her only child, was born on her birthday, and she didn't know that her daughter was picking up fares to go on Uber. She thought she was just delivering food, like with Uber Eats. Now, the funeral's going to be here at St. Paul the Apostle, which is in New Orleans East, but they don't have a date set yet. Yolanda was very active in this church, helping the children. She was a lecturer. She did many things here, and people here are mourning as well. Reporting live from New Orleans East, Meg Ferris, Eyewitness News. Back to you.
A very senseless crime and such a tragic loss, Meg. Thank you so much.
As December kicked off, Yolanda started gearing up for Christmas, saving as much money as she could to spoil her loved ones. She wasn't the type to cut corners on gifts and wanted to make sure her friends and family had an amazing holiday. Fast forward to December 6th, Yolanda was planning to spend the day with her mother, Edna Dillon. Even though they lived together, Yolanda cherished their time together and would spend any spare moment with her mom. However, that morning, Yolanda received a notification from Uber about a ride request. Tempted by the chance to earn some extra cash while saving for Christmas, Yolanda thought it might be a good idea to take the job and then get back to spending the day with Edna. So that's exactly what she did. Not long after receiving the notification, Yolanda hopped into her car and headed towards the address of the unknown ride requester. As she arrived at the location, everything seemed normal. The man who requested the ride jumped into the back seat, greeting her like any typical passenger. Without delay, Yolanda began driving to a Travelodge in Harvey, as requested by the man. Little did she know, this seemingly ordinary trip would be the last thing that she ever did.
Well, I want to read to you a tweet by Wendell Pierce. It says, Yolanda Dillon, my church member for decades, a woman with a heart of gold and a deep love of God, was murdered yesterday. The murderous violence of New Orleans and this country has come even closer to me personally. We are in crisis.
As soon as Yolanda pulled into the Travelodge parking lot, chaos erupted. While her back was still turned to the passenger, he lunged at her with a knife, brutally stabbing her several times. The blows were fatal, and Yolanda had no chance. What exactly was said or how Yolanda reacted remains unknown, but y'all can only imagine the unimaginable pain and terror she must have felt. She probably screamed for help, but tragically, it was already too late. As blood poured from her wounds, Yolanda began to bleed out, the life draining from her body. The passenger, now her killer, sat in the back seat, watching her suffer. With a chilling calmness, the killer opened the car door and walked around to Yolanda's side. He opened her door and began to film her agonizing death. Blood continued to spurt from Yolanda's body, spilling all over her car. The killer held up his phone, capturing every moment without a shred of remorse. Once he was satisfied with the footage, he coldly uploaded the horrifying video to his Facebook page. After ensuring the car doors were shut, he left Yolanda to die alone in her car. Surveillance cameras later captured the killer leaving the scene with an eerie calmness, his demeanor disturbingly unaffected by the brutal murder he had just committed.
She literally pulls up in front. It's on video actually from the Travelodge. They had cameras. I mean, you can't see the crime itself, but the car pulls up and then moves forward about 3 feet, and you see him exiting the vehicle. I mean, it happens immediately, and he just steps out the vehicle. I mean, so
He was recording her while he was still.
basically, I think when he was getting out, it looks like he recorded her bleeding out at that point in time.
And he just went.
And he just walked out and went to his room.
Did he live stream or?
I don't think it was live stream.
He recorded this
and then posted it.
After leaving the murder scene, the killer simply went back up to his room in the Travelodge as if nothing had happened. Yolanda was left in her car, barely alive and slowly dying in agony. For a while, nothing happened. Too weak to call for help or even move, Yolanda could only sit there waiting for her last breath.
Did the stabbing take place in the vehicle? Had he gotten out? Or?
No, it took place in the vehicle. Major stab wound, really incapacitated her almost immediately. I think twice, but I'll have to wait for the coroner's office to make that determination. But I think it's twice, Michelle.
So he was in the back seat.
He was in the back seat, stabbed from behind, exited the vehicle, and then just walked away casually.
However, soon after, the next passenger Yolanda was scheduled to pick up arrived. Noticing her car, they got in the back seat, expecting a normal ride. Instead, they were met with a horrifying sight. The bloody, dying Yolanda slumped over in the front seat. The shocked passenger immediately called the cops. They arrived quickly and rushed Yolanda's body away on a stretcher, desperately hoping to save her. Unfortunately, shortly after reaching the hospital, Yolanda was pronounced dead.
She was on an Uber run, and JP Sheriff LaPinto says she picked up 29-year-old Brandon Jacobs and dropped him off at the Travelodge in Harvey around 3 o'clock Thursday. As they pulled in, he just stabbed her from the back. You see him walk away. The next person goes to get in the Uber and sees the crime and runs back in for help.
Minutes after Yolanda's death, the police wasted no time launching an investigation to find her killer. They contacted Uber and the Travelodge to help identify the man, and it didn't take long before they zeroed in on their prime suspect, 29-year-old Brandon Jacobs.
One person encountered the person at the location, but he made good his escape, I guess you could say, walked and went back to his hotel room. We worked with Uber last night in order to determine who the fare was. We were able to match it up with different people at the hotel and developed a suspect by the name of Brandon Jacobs, a 29-year-old black male who was staying in one of the hotel rooms at that location. We encountered him last night, took him into custody, interviewed him where he gave a full confession.
When Brandon was arrested, he fully confessed to his crimes, showing no shame or regret. When the police asked him why he did it, his answer was truly chilling, y'all.
His confession basically was stated that he woke up yesterday morning and decided he was going to kill someone, and decided that was going to be the day.
Sheriff LaPinto says Jacobs confessed, saying he didn't pick Dillon, but that Uber did. He now faces a second-degree murder charge, leaving a trail of devastation and hurt to all who knew Dillon.
Yes, you heard that right. According to Brandon, he simply woke up that morning and decided that it was the day he was going to kill someone. That was it. No other explanation. Even when Brandon was asked why Yolanda specifically, all he had to say was that it wasn't him that chose her. It was Uber.
When we asked him specifically, how did you pick her, his response was, I didn't pick her, Uber picked her. Meaning that she was the random person that picked him up that day.
Deputies arrested Jacobs of Harvey. He is charged with second-degree murder. The sheriff says there is a mental health aspect to this case.
He actually videotaped the incident, the aftermath of the incident, posted it on social media. We had to work with Facebook last night to get that removed this morning.
After hearing the news of Yolanda's death, her family and friends were sent into a frenzy. Left heartbroken and utterly distraught, their lives will never be the same. This especially applies to Yolanda's mother, Eden, who spent every day with her daughter. In one fell swoop, the most important person in her life was ripped away. Just listen to the gut-wrenching interview with Eden, y'all.
You can't just go take nobody's life. Somebody who not doing you nothing, just take their life. That's my only child. I don't have no daughter. When your child leave in the morning, you expect to see him come back,
Edna Dillon is living with cancer. Her only child, Yolanda Dillon, was everything to her.
She took very good care. She made my groceries and cooked and bought everything, She paid all my bills and things. So he just left me with nobody,
What made things even more disturbing for Yolanda's inner circle was the widespread circulation of her death video online. Whether they dared to watch it or not, one thing was certain: countless people did, and it was a truly gruesome sight. Fortunately, thanks to the swift action of the authorities, the video got scrubbed from the web, leaving only faint traces behind. What is unsettling, though, is that Brandon himself was the one who informed the authorities of the video. As indicated by the cops, Brandon owned up to filming the murder almost as though he was proud of it.
How were you made aware of this video?
He told us.
Oh, wow.
He actually told us during the interview. We were able to pull it up. We've sent the preservation order to Facebook itself, notified them, and luckily he does not have a lot of followers. So I don't believe it's widespread right now. Obviously, if y'all are able to find it, I'd say use your discretion because it's certainly horrifying scene by all means. We've been able to verify that Facebook has taken it down before this press conference itself, so I don't believe it's out in the public domain necessarily, but certainly could be. But I can't control everybody, but some people should have some couth about it. Certainly a horrifying scene.
Y'all are probably wondering, what was Brandon's backstory? Did he have a history of violence? Well, as unearthed by the authorities in their investigation, Brandon was no stranger to trouble. Apparently, Brandon had previously been arrested for charges of burglary and arson. Whilst these crimes are nothing compared to murder, they do point toward the fact that Brandon was capable of deviant actions. Still, though, Brandon's track record doesn't explain what drove him to murder Yolanda in the way he did. It's one thing to kill someone, but the manner he did it was truly gory and evil. The fact he was able to video Yolanda slowly bleeding out, it defies all explanation. So far, the police have said that they believe Brandon was suffering from mental health issues, but no further detail has been provided as to what these afflictions are.
I think he's from here. From here, but he spent a good bit of time in Seattle, from what we gather. And
how long had he been back?
7 months from what he told us. Again, we're gonna look into that, see when he traveled back, but from what he told us in the interview, he'd been back here for 7 months.
From Gretna or what?
I believe it was from Harvey.
And you mentioned his criminal record. Anything like this? Anything like this violence?
No, absolutely not.
And you said it was property crimes, right?
Yeah, he had arson, burglary, malicious mischief, and trespassing. I do not know if he had any convictions on those. That's just Washington state record, nothing local here. So I don't have any information. I'm sorry.
Any mental health?
We're looking into that. We believe that's, some of it is the case, but give us time to subpoena those records so we can verify that. But we believe that there's certainly a mental health aspect to this case.
I don't know about y'all, but the extent of what Brandon did almost feels like he was under some sort of evil influence. I mean, he straight up says he woke up one day and felt this urge to do it. Makes you wonder if there's something darker going on, right? We've all heard those spooky stories about demonic possession. Could there be some truth to them? When you look at the signs of possession, a lot of them weirdly match up with what happened with Brandon. Maybe this is a shot in the dark, but I think we can all admit that whatever the case, Brandon's actions were the makings of pure evil.
He was in the backseat, stabbing from behind, exited the vehicle, and he just walked away casually.
In light of what happened to Yolanda, many taxi drivers, rightly so, have been sent into a state of distress. The worrying thing for them is that if it could happen to Yolanda, who's to say it won't happen to them? Yolanda's case really highlights the dangers of taxi driving, especially with Uber. What a lot of people don't realize is that Uber drivers use their own cars. When a passenger gets in, the driver is letting a stranger into a confined space with them. Considering there are no barriers or any protection to separate drivers from passengers, it's no surprise that tragedies like Yolanda's have occurred. The unsettling truth is that there are lots of people out there with sinister motives. Many Uber drivers have even come forward to speak about this after hearing about Yolanda's brutal death. Check out the interviews, y'all.
You just gotta pray for the best.
When you call an Uber, you're not getting inside someone's company car. It's their personal car. That driver is taking a leap of faith and trusting that passenger. That's exactly what Yolanda Dillon did, and it cost her her life.
And I had to continue to drive because I need the money. This is my job. But I was so scared. I just kept having visions of someone just attacking me from the back. I was scared.
Clearly, Yolanda's case has scared a lot of people. The big question is, should Uber keep operating as it has been? Should security be ramped up? You'd think that after what happened, there'd be some changes, right? But so far, nothing's changed. People like Brandon still have the opportunity to attack whenever they want. Just thinking about it gives you chills.
Nicole Bannister has been an Uber driver for more than 5 years.
I think my anxiety kicked in, especially this morning when I started driving again. I was kind of peeking at the passengers.
Make a right turn on Royal Street.
It just was frightening.
Her car was once her safe space. She no longer wants to be behind the wheel.
I was really scared. I didn't want to drive anymore.
It could have been any one of us.
Shavita Thomas, another veteran driver, says she relies on her intuition and God to keep her safe.
In my spirit telling me something's not right, it doesn't even get that far to where somebody's in the car to make me uncomfortable.
Both women say they don't drive at night.
Anybody could be a suspect at this point.
I have to do it. I have to go to work. And this is my only job, so I have to go to work.
The police addressed this issue in their interview, admitting that Yolanda's case wasn't the first murder they've dealt with involving a taxi. Still, the authorities just chalk it up to an occupational hazard.
Is there any word you have for the delivery drivers or the people who are out there working?
Look, let's face it, anything can happen at any time. We've got Uber drivers, taxi cab drivers. We certainly had a taxi cab driver several years ago here on the West Bank that was killed. It can be a dangerous job, but thousands of millions of fares are done all across this country on an everyday basis and don't have a problem. It's when you have one like this which makes it so shocking, because it's certainly just an unbelievable scenario that occurred in this situation.
What do y'all think? Should there be major changes in taxi driving laws? Yolanda's case is just one of many incidents. We've all heard those terrifying stories about passengers being kidnapped or murdered. Sure, it's rare, but it definitely makes you think.
I mean, it's certainly a job that comes with risk, but certainly Miss Yolanda didn't believe that her life was in danger during that moment. I don't believe that was the case. I think she just encountered the wrong person at the wrong time and, unfortunately lost her life because of it.
Y'all, it's chilling to imagine the horror that unfolded. The pain and sheer terror Yolanda must have felt are almost too much to bear. When Brandon stabbed her, did he feel any guilt at all? Any stress or alarm? From what the police have said, it appears he was completely unaffected, as if he was merely going through the motions, cold and detached. What causes someone to commit such a monstrous act? What makes someone capable of such brutality? The thought is sickening. Just imagine it, y'all. The blood pouring out of Yolanda, soaking the seats and the floor, the eerie silence after Brandon walked away, leaving her to die alone. Did he see her face as she took her last breaths? Did he say anything to her during the attack? These are questions we may never know the answers to, but even thinking about it is enough to instill fear in you forever. It's so cruel that it had to be Yolanda who picked up that ride. But the thing is, even if it wasn't her, it would have been someone else. What if Yolanda had never checked her phone that morning or decided to reject the ride request? Maybe she would still be here today. When she agreed to pick up Brandon that morning, she had no idea she was signing her own death warrant. One thing's for certain, Yolanda's case is one that will never be forgotten. What do y'all think led Brandon to murder? Do you think he deserves life in prison? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.